Welcome back to another video from Wheels by Fleming of San Jose, California, home of hand-built basic and replacement alloy bicycle wheels and custom wheels. This is another video on the Kowa Spoke Cutter. This is an addendum or errata video to my video series on the Kowa Spoke Cutter. And just a reminder, this is a very old machine. This is number 36 from 2010. Very old, it's almost an original. This video is going to go more in depth, more into the details of micro-adjustment, what can go wrong, and how micro-adjustment behaves on this machine in the form of a picture or a graph. And I'm covering two areas. When things go wrong, how to fix it, and then what micro-adjustment looks like as a picture or a graph. Let's cover the first part first. Under normal circumstances, the micro-adjustment process on the Kowa Spoke Cutter is predictable, it's reliable, it's progressive. It works. Two pieces are interacting when you use the micro-adjuster. You're not just adjusting the micro-adjuster. When you're done locking the micro-adjuster, you're bringing this gauge selection knob back up against it. Those two pieces work together. It's a two-piece operation. When you lock this block down, the shaft behind this knob is also locked in place. It doesn't move. However, the micro-adjuster is basically a screw with threads. And it threads into a small plate that also has threads. Common sense tells you anything that's threaded is going to have a little bit of play in it. It's not going to be consistent. However, it works until you damage that shaft on the knob. Yes, that shaft can get damaged, and when you damage that shaft, your micro-adjustment is going to become unpredictable, unreliable. It will basically cease to operate on you. So the question is, how does that shaft get damaged? It gets damaged two ways. Number one, someone takes this knob when the block is loose and starts slamming it up and down, playing with it. When you slam it down, no problem, but when you slam it up, you're slamming into the tip of the micro-adjustment screw. That will divot the shaft, that will scrape the shaft, burr the shaft, and the moment that happens, the micro-adjustment becomes inconsistent, unreliable, undependable, it's not predictable. The other way damage occurs is someone holds the shaft against the micro-adjuster screw and turns the screw against the shaft. Doing that will cause the micro-adjustment screw to drive into the shaft and even trench it. Either of those two damage types, independently or together, will basically cause your micro-adjustment to pretty much come to a halt. So the question is, when that happens, how do you fix this? It's actually pretty simple. I have one of these shafts for the selector knob over here on the table. Let me move the camera. So on the table in front of us, I have a replacement shaft and a mini lathe. The shaft is round, polished, nice and smooth. That's exactly how it needs to be for micro-adjustment to work properly. The micro-adjustment screw needs a nice, clean, round shaft to rest on when you lock the block. Keeping this clean keeps the operation predictable, consistent, progressive, reliable. So what happens when you damage that? When you have burring, scratching, trenching, divoting, or even a hole in there, what do? Do you throw it away? You don't have to throw it away. Find a local machine shop, ask them to spend 5 minutes, that's all it takes, using a mini lathe or a regular lathe and a bit or tool, and just ask them to take off 1 or 2 thousandths of an inch of material, polish it up with some wet sanding paper and oil, and you can put your repaired shaft back inside your Kowa Spoke Cutter. It will work just fine, while you're waiting for a new one to come in from Kowa 3 weeks later from Kowa Factory Japan. You don't have to throw it away. Just go to a local machine shop and have them clean it up for you. They will do just the minimal amount, polish it, and you're back in operation. Number one way to avoid this is don't damage it to begin with. Do not slam the knob up and down. Do not hold your knob up against the micro-adjustment screw while turning the screw. Avoid doing those two things. You're not going to damage this, and your micro-adjuster will always work for you. That's the first issue I wanted to cover. I've given you a solution while you're waiting on a replacement on order. Now let's go into more detail on micro-adjustment. I'm going to turn the camera down some more. Look at these papers. Here I have some graph papers. This paper is called Kowa Spoke Cutter number 36, Micro-Adjustor Behavior as a Graph. In my two-part video series on micro-adjustment, I covered pretty much almost live how to do micro-adjustment. I demonstrate on my machine, but I wanted to give you a picture of what's happening when I do micro-adjustment on my machine number 36. So on the left-hand side, we have 2.00 millimeter, because I'm starting off with a 14 gauge spoke that's 2.00 millimeters. And then I have 2.10, 2.20, and 2.30. At the bottom, these are my turns: 16th of a turn, 1/8 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn, 1/2 of a turn, 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns, 5 turns, 6 turns. In other words, I'm going to show you my progression when I do my micro-adjustment as a graph, as a picture. I set my adjustment screw to the minimum. I bring up the shaft or knob. I lock my block. I roll my first spoke when it gets picked up, and usually I'm starting out right about 2.08 millimeters. Usually I'm starting out right about there on the first roll of a spoke. I'll probably do a whole turn just to speed things up a little bit. So I'll unlock the block, bring the shaft down, do a full turn on the micro-adjustor, lock it, bring the shaft back up, lock my block. And usually when I do that, I end up right about 210, 211. And I'm going to connect these two dots with a line because I want to show progression. At this point, I'm starting to do probably like half turns. So I'll do like maybe a half turn, and I'll end up at maybe 2.13 millimeters. So far, so good. Let me connect those dots. But what happens once in a while? Remember, I pointed out that the shaft is round and clean. The micro-adjustor screw rests on the shaft. The shaft is rigid, it's steady, it's not moving, but the micro-adjustor screw, every time you turn it, it deviates a little bit. It's not always going to land in the same spot. What happens once in a while? I do a quarter turn or a half turn and I get a huge spike. Suddenly, on my next quarter turn or half turn, I'm jumping all the way to 2.28 millimeters. A huge jump. And I'll roll, and the spoke will come out just fine, nice and smooth, but a huge jump. Can I trust that? The answer is no. On my Kowa Spoke Cutter, I will get spikes when I'm doing my micro-adjustment, when I'm progressing through it. You cannot trust those spikes, even if the roll is smooth. Can't trust it. In my original video series on micro-adjustment, I indicated using a 16th of a turn or an 1/8 of a turn to get past bad spots. I do the same thing when I see the spikes. When I get a spike, I don't trust it. I will use a 16th or an 1/8 of a turn increase to get past it and bring the shaft back up, lock that block, and what will happen? I will be right back down close to where I was before. Boom. And then what I do, I continue my progression. Quarter turns, half turns, whatever. I'll do maybe another quarter turn. And I'll end up at 2.16. So far so good. I'll do another quarter turn. Maybe I'll end up at 2.18. I might do another quarter turn. End up at 2.19. So far so good. I'll do another quarter turn and all of a sudden, boom, another spike. I might be at like 2.32 millimeters. Rough or smooth, it doesn't matter. I do not trust that spike. What am I going to do on my old Kowa Spoke Cutter number 36? I'm going to do a 16th or an eighth of a turn again, bring the shaft back up, lock my block to get right back to where I was before. I'll probably end up at about 2.19. And then what do I do again? I continue my progression, continue incrementing the micro-adjustor screw, continue bringing the shaft back up, locking that block, rolling a spoke. I want this. I do not want this. These cannot be trusted. Quarter turns, half turns, I keep going. I might hit 2.21 after a quarter turn. So far so good, getting close. Might do another quarter turn, and suddenly I'm at 2.22. That's the minimum for a 2.00 millimeter spoke when you thread it. I like to go a little further. I might go another quarter turn and end up at 2.23 or 2.24. If I'm at 2.23 or 2.24 and my roll is smooth, if I'm at 2.23 or 2.24 and my roll is smooth, start to finish, inside a die to the outside edge of the die, no chatter, that's when I stop. Take out a DT Swiss or Supreme nipple, thread it onto that 2.00 millimeter spoke, and usually it'll thread on just fine with the spoke popping through for about a millimeter, millimeter and a half past the head of the nipple. When doing your micro adjustment, pay attention to the behavior as you're progressing. If you're doing your progression and you suddenly encounter a spike after only a quarter turn and a half turn, even if it feels smooth, you cannot trust it. Do a 16th or an eighth of turn, get past that. You'll probably drop right back down to where you left off, and when that happens, continue your progression. You will encounter spikes on older machines like mine 2 or 3 times during the process. Every time it happens, no matter how good it is, you cannot trust them. You must do a small turn to get past it, relock that block, get back to where you were, continue your progression. Until you finally get to the thread diameter with a smooth roll inside and out that you're satisfied with. There's a picture of the micro-adjustment behavior on my Kowa Spoke Cutter number 36. Again, my machine is a very old machine. I have to deal with spikes while I'm progressively using the micro-adjuster. I have to work past them. And that is all for this video. I hope this helps people out there who are struggling with micro-adjusting or just have questions about micro-adjustment, want more details. Well, there you go. Thanks for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a nice day.